Hello, Warsaw. Thank you for joining me today in this session dedicated to multi-agent systems and how to implement agents within your organization and company. Many of you know that agents are everywhere. They are in products, they are in companies, they are in products. However, not many of us know that inside our companies, we can also apply agents to improve the processes and get optimized outcomes out of our projects and systems. My story started approximately 15 years ago. I started as a software engineer, and later on I switched to AI, and now I work at Liven as an AI expert and help to build Liven. To understand what Liven is, I propose you to conduct a small experiment just for 20 seconds. Please close your eyes for 20 seconds and just be in the present moment. Listen to the sounds around you, and maybe you will notice your breath, smells, and emotions. Thank you. Now you can open your eyes, and this is what we are trying to do in Liven. We are trying to help you understand your own feelings and your own emotions. How do you feel and why do you feel in some way? Liven has Mood Tracker, has a lot of systems which help you to identify your state and improve the state over time with AI. And talking about AI, to make Liven efficient, we have a lot of AI tools inside. We have multiple products connected through connectors. We have, by request, anyone in the company can connect any AI service to the company. It creates a mess in the infrastructure sooner or later. It means that you have to see what is shadow AI. Who knows what shadow AI is? Wow, not so many people. One. Please check under your seats. Maybe you will find some hearts with shadow AI. And if you found something, please raise your card with the heart. Any shadow AI in auditory? No? Yeah, it's not easy to find shadow AI because people use it usually in working time. At the same time, nobody knows which is going on in the company. It could be online services. It could be OpenAI, but your personal account. It could be Anthropic AI, your personal account. Nobody knows what goes to the servers of Anthropic AI, and nobody knows what is going on inside the system. Therefore, in Liven, we decided to systemize and cluster it, our tools, to 7 main categories. We have development, we have design, product optimization. All categories are specifically selected to have the single environment. The idea was to organize a single environment where everyone can have access to the tools. At the same time, the company will be aware of how we are using tools and how we can optimize them. We have more than 40 sources of data. You can imagine it is not easy to handle this huge zoo of technologies. And when you try to connect them, it is not obvious how to even start. Also, we not really love to create at least 4 or 5 sprints to implement agents. We would like to have something with no coding at all. Like when you have interface, and your interface gives you ability to optimize existing agent or create a new agent inside the system. It is relatively easy to create something with agents inside the company. But when you try to convince people to use it, you will find that there is resistance. There is bias towards how your colleagues use AI. And when they try to utilize your new fancy UI with agents, be prepared that no one really likes it. And to make it simpler, I prepared other reasons of failures for the agentic AI inside the companies. When you start and you dedicate investments to the project, usually it's relatively easy to create the first version, the pilot. You will have maybe vibe-coded interface or connected to some cloud service. But later, you will see that pilot stage is passed, but you don't really get anything out of it. Nobody uses it, and there is no reason to continue. This is the majority of projects. Also, for large companies, be prepared to have processes which look kind of messy. Your processes are not always obvious, and there is a thing called fragmentation blindness. This is when your processes are so difficult to clusterize and categorize that even after process mapping, you will have huge numbers of duplicates, and you will have to create the things from scratch again. Let's try to structure this. We created the questionnaire for our internal team to support this process. This questionnaire should be quick and simple. It should not include a lot of questions because people don't really have time to fill questionnaires, and no one really likes to fill questionnaires when it comes to replace your job. So be prepared that people are afraid of. Who of you thinks that in 2 years your position will be deprecated and most likely you will lose your job because of AI? Thank you. In fact, people are afraid of AI. And this is the reason why we're trying to change the model and say that, hey, we're not looking for layoffs here. We are trying to optimize your work and be friendly. We created a friendly chatbot which was designed to help people understand what processes consume the most of the time. This chatbot iteratively just digs into the topics of routine tasks and asks more and more questions about how and why you use some tools and how we can help you to be more efficient with our new agentic system. On the right side, you see 2 charts. The first one is expected return on investment in your agentic system, if you create something inside the company. So don't really expect to have some return on investment before the month 4. At the same time, the irony is that average project continuation cycle, it takes up to 4 months. Exciting, right? So we have a pilot trap. A pilot trap is when you have the first prototype and it looks amazing. You have all the features, you have multi-agent capabilities inside, but it never passes through it. Because maybe you don't have dedicated team, or maybe you just don't have enough resources, time to continue. In case of Emerson, Emerson decided to go with multi-agent system and made it up to the point of the pilot project. They not only bought expensive software, they also onboarded external experts to make it compatible with deprecated components, which are basically rely on deprecated things. After 4 months, the project was abandoned, and they had to recreate everything from scratch. From the new suppliers, from the new contractors, and lost financing for this project. Let's take a look how we can approach agentic AI in the systems, in our companies. We have 3 key ways to go. The first one is to go with open source, and not just open source, but libraries like LangGraph. It is a painful experience, believe me. It is painful because libraries are supposed to support the structure, and if you don't really have the structure in your mind and your team is not capable of, not experienced, you will find it messy sooner or later. However, when you go to the cloud providers like Google Cloud, everything works out of the box. It is shining bright with multiple agents inside working almost in the day one. But then you have the problem with the customization for your own purposes and your vision. There is a middle of this process, which is called open source platforms, which can provide you agents as a service in open source, so that you have both benefits. You have ready-to-use platform, and you have agents which you can create with no code or low code with open source. Agent Space was a cloud platform which our company selected first. As Gartner stated, it was the definitive leader of the market as of June 2025. Agent Space not only the best solution, positioned not only the best solution on the market, it also has a lot of features that other platforms don't have. However, when we tried to implement our system on Agent Space, we identified a couple of issues. First, who thinks that Agent Space should have the feature to connect agents, your custom agents? Please raise your hands. Unfortunately, by default, Agent Space does not support connecting agents, right? This is ridiculous. However, there is a way to ask customer support to connect you additional service which will be compatible with new agents. Next, even when you have the agents connected, be prepared that those are not traceable, not loggable, not visible things, which lack of monitoring and documentation. There are so many pitfalls in the system that Discovery Engine, which is the heart of Agent Space, is a mysterious, monstrous organism which has gaps in documentation. I'm not saying that the platform is bad, no. It is just not yet ready and not yet here to be applied for the majority of requirements of the companies. That's why we switched to Onyx. Onyx is an open source platform. It is developed by San Francisco developers who received investments for this project. They also have cloud service, and it is pure Python. Onyx launch time looked much better for us. In day one, we had the initial setup ready, and with pin glasses, we decided that that's it. We don't need really a lot of time to be happy with the system. But It appears it is not perfect. There are some issues which have to be fixed in the process. Architecture is outdated. You will see many incompatibilities with custom agents, and expect it to be resource demanding. For vector bases, you will spend from $5 to $10 per a customer, per your user, because vector database is kind of heavy for the system. And also, cybersecurity is another issue. Cybersecurity was compromised in Onyx 2 months ago when React had a system issue with the vulnerability. That's why open source is also not a silver bullet. However, we can make it a silver bullet if we consider automation. And IDEs like Cursor and IDEs like Cloud can help you to reduce your headache a lot. Almost 60% of agents and custom workflows can be created automatically using vibe coding if you properly have set up for the rules, for the environments, for agent instructions, and you have proper understanding of what you are building. It means that in 2 years, we will have almost any possible feature you can imagine for customization created almost automatically with minimal human efforts. This is our prognosis. It means that we have ability to implement things as we see it, not focusing on technical side. We can give the freedom to implement any kind of connections between agents and connect them into really autonomous pipelines, difficult pipelines. When it comes to complexity, I remember my previous experience in Lenovo. I was head of AI strategy, and we created a system called Lenovo Navigator. It is a system which was created to serve for 7 departments within the company. And when the architecture was released, it was super obvious for us how and what will be done in terms of the components. However, after 6 months of development, we identified ourselves in the pilot trap because of legacy systems, a huge complexity which comes from deprecated systems. Everything was not obvious, but anyway, in Liven, I have the new vision and would like to share it with you. This is iterative approach based on the phases of rollout for agents, and my idea is to start with simple agents, which basically the low-hanging fruits. This is communication channels, Notion, it can be Google Docs, Slack, whatever. You can connect them relatively easy in a couple of days and start with. Later, you can start working on creative agents. This is the next layer. Creative agents, this is the layer where you can build something for multiple interactions with the systems like Canva or Figma, for example. And later, you can reuse by the same agents using reg pipelines. And then analytical agents is more difficult thing because you have not only a single agent, but you have multiple sources connected to those agents, usually going back and forth. And this process is non-trivial. But when everything is ready, you will see that autonomous pipelines become possible. And that, how we see the future. This is how Superman looks like in real physics, actually. So human review is basically the process when we create the initial set of requirements of what we would like to achieve. And when we have this, we have other agents in the system which basically create the whole pipeline to proceed with analysis, rank features, and then create the first design, and then even prototype things. And if we created the prototype automatically, why don't you test it automatically? So we have the full pipeline. This is actually the experimental phase. We still experimenting a lot with this. But when it become available for the majority of companies, and it will become available in 6 months or 7 months, those things can work autonomously almost for hours or days, rolling out new features and creating value for the companies unseen before. To get there, I created the roadmap for you, where we have the minimal necessary requirements, which starts with a dedicated team, and then you are moving to the creation of systemizing the processes with the chatbot, and then you can go to the implementation of simple agents which are available, and only after this, you are moving towards multi-agent systems and connecting the agents into the autonomous pipelines. I think that the main idea here is that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And be prepared to invest for the whole year and not stop there. The return on investment, 200%, will be available only for the companies which succeeded and relentlessly was obsessed with the results. It means that to be effective, you have to think strategically in the future with multi-agent systems. And this way, there are multiple changes come in terms of how we're going to use those automatic pipelines, because they really can replace anyone in the company. And you will have a choice as a business owner or as a software developer how to approach this. Like Amazon laying off 60% of personnel in DevOps, or maybe like Microsoft sending automatic layoff notice to someone in your birthday. Or there is another way, more humanistic way, where you given the instruments and multi-agent systems to your employees. And your employees basically not only orchestrating multi-agent systems and autonomous pipelines, but creating value which rapidly grows in numbers. This is an ambitious goal. However, I believe this is the only way to go to not to disturb the economy in the process of automation. Thank you.